Hey guys, this is part 2 for math paper 3H from June 2010. So let's pick up where we left off. Okay, well we left off at question 7, and question 7 has given you this angle over here, 41 degrees. It's given you the side which is adjacent to the angle, basically the side which the angle and the right angle lie on. And it's given you the hypotenuse, which is the side opposite to the right angle. So it's asking you to find the value of x. So what is x? So basically it's a right angle triangle, so we can apply our SOHCAHTOA. And what you got to think of what function relates the adjacent side and the hypotenuse. If you think about it, it is the cos function over here. So cosine or cos of 41 is equal to adjacent, which is nothing but x over hypotenuse, 6.8. So if we multiply both sides by 6.8, or take 6.8 to the other side, we're going to get x is equal to cos 41 times 6.8, and so x is equal to 5.13 centimeters, and this is correct to 3 significant figures. So basically question 8 has this woman Jade, and tax has been deducted, so money has been taken away from her at a rate of 24%, so 24 over 100. And last month, after tax had been deducted, 1,786 of her income remained, so she had $1,786, right? You got to calculate her income last month before the tax was deducted. So we'll call her income last month before the tax was deducted. We'll call that income X, okay? So income before tax. Alright? So now, 24%, so 24 over 100, times X has been deducted from her original amount, X. Right? So this has been taken away from X. So that means that X minus 24 over 100 times X will be equal to the income that remains, which is 1,786. This is because her original income, from her original income, 20% of her income has been taken away, and so that'll give us her new income after the tax has been taken away, 1,786. So all we got to do is solve this equation for X, and we will find her income before tax. So from this equation we get x minus 0.24 x is equal to 1,786. So 1 minus 0.24 is 0.76. X is equal to 1,786. So divide both sides by 0.76. You're going to get x is equal to 1,786 divided by 0.76. So x is equal to $2,350. So this was her salary before tax. Alright, so question 9a gives you this graph with two triangles, P and Q, drawn on it. And they ask you to describe fully the single transformation which maps triangle P onto triangle Q. Now, if you look at triangle P and triangle Q, they're the same shape, they're both right angle triangles, except Q is nothing but like a kind of inversion of P. So, if you think about it, first of all, we have to look at the corresponding points. So if I look at the two red points, one red point over here is 2, 3, whereas here it's -3, -2. And over here it's -3, 3, -3, but here it's 3, 3. And over here it's 3, 5, where over here it's -5, -3. Now if you notice, basically what's happening from P is that these two are swapping over, and they're both becoming negative. So that should suggest to you, and also the inversion or like the change in orientation of the shape, that should suggest to you that this is nothing but a reflection. So you know that it's a reflection. But now on what line has it been reflected? And that's the question. So basically if you look at both shapes, because of the switching of the x and the y, and also the inversion of the line, the sign from positive to negative, the line has been reflected on should be nothing but y is equal to negative x. So it's reflection on y equal to negative x. Okay, well, question 9b is asking you to rotate triangle Q 90 degrees anti-clockwise about the point 1, comma 1, which is over there. And they're asking you to rotate it, and you're supposed to label the new triangle R. Now, I don't have a protractor, I don't have a compass, I don't have anything on the iPad, but so I suggest you just ask your teacher for this, or if I can, I'll try to post a link in the description box. But what you want to do is basically you want to rotate this triangle over here 90 degrees anti-clockwise, which is in this direction. So it needs to move in that direction anti-clockwise, and remember, you got to keep this as the center. So in the end, your triangle would look something like this, and you got to label it R, and it'll look like this, and basically it's been rotated just basically in this direction by 90 degrees. I'll try to post a link if I can, but otherwise ask your teachers. Okay, so question 9c, after you've drawn this new triangle R, they're asking you to describe fully the single transformation which maps triangle P onto this triangle over here, which you've actually drawn yourself. Now again, what I always suggest is look at both the shapes. They're exactly the same size, they're both right angle triangles, they're the same size, except P has been, it looks like it's been flipped over, kind of like folded towards you, if you think about it that way. It's like kind of folded towards you. And what it should suggest is that it's reflection. Now, reflection is not enough. You need to know which line it's been reflected on. Now, you should know that since only the y points are changing, you should know that it's been reflected on a horizontal line. Alright, so a line like this. Now, there's a rule. Basically, both shapes should be equidistant from the line of reflection. So draw a line in between, and you'll notice that there are 4 boxes. And like the equidistant point will be the one in the middle between the two shapes. So the equidistant point is at y is equal to 1. So the line of reflection is at y equals 1. So it's reflection on y equals 1. Okay, question 10a is simple. They're just asking you to write down the inequality, and they've drawn like a line and the inequality on it. So the inequality goes from -4 and it finishes at 3. Now let's say x is the inequality, or like there's an x-axis, so let's say x can only be between something. So if you look at it, it can only be between 4 and 3. So it means x is greater than 4, because it goes in this direction, but it can't be more than 3, right? So it's less than 3. Now, this symbolizes less than, while a colored square, like this, symbolizes less than or equal to. So in this case, it's less than or equal to, since the colored square. So this is the inequality. Alright, 10b1, just as simple. You're just being asked to solve the inequality, 2x, it's not 2n, 2x plus 9 is greater than 1. So just treat it like a normal algebraic equation. Subtract 9 on both sides, you're going to get 2x is less than -8. Then divide both sides by 2. You're going to get x is greater than -4. So in 10b2 they say n is negative. So you have to write down all the values of n which satisfy this inequality. Now, as we solved in the previous question, n should be greater than -4. So that means that n can be -3, since it's got to be greater than -4, and it can't be equal to -4. So it's got to be -3, -2, -1, 0, 1. It could go on forever. But since n is negative, that means this cannot be included. So that means it's nothing but -3, -2, and -1, because n is negative. Okay, 11a is really simple. They're asking you to work out the area of a circle of diameter 16. So now the area of any circle is pi into r squared. Pi can be found in your calculator. R is radius. And over here you're given diameter. Now in a circle, this is the diameter and this is the radius. So the radius is nothing but half of the diameter. So half times 16. So the radius is 8 centimeters. So that means that your area is equal to pi times 8 squared, which is equal to 64 times pi, which is nothing but 201 centimeter squared. And this is correct to 3 significant figures. So 11b says the volume of the water in the fish bowl can be found using this formula. And you got to find the value of v when they've given you the conditions, when h is 16.4, x is 6.5, and y is 8. So all you got to do really is just substitute it into the equation. So you're going to get v is equal to 1 over 6 times pi. You replace h with 16.4 times 16.4, and this is multiplied by 3 times 6.5 squared plus 3 times 8 squared plus h squared, which is 16.4. Oof, just made it squared. That's a squared if you don't know. Okay, so just put this on your calculator. You're going to get 1 over 6 pi times 16.4 times 126.75 plus 192 plus 268.96. So if you simplify this further, you're going to get 1 over 6 times pi times 16.4 times 587.71, and that will be equal to 5,047, and this is correct to 4 significant figures, so 5,047. Alright, 12a, you're being asked to complete the table of values for this equation. Y is equal to x cubed minus 12x plus 2. And you're given values of x, and all you got to do is complete the values of y. So all you got to do to solve this question, oh my god, I say all you got to do a lot. What you basically have to do is to take this and substitute it into that equation over there. So you're going to get y is equal to -2 cubed minus 12 times -2 plus 2. So y is equal to -8 plus 24 plus 2, which is equal to 26 minus 8, which is 18, I think. So for this, the y value is 18. Now you do the same for this one. You're going to get -1 cubed, y is equal to -1 cubed, minus 12 times -1 plus 2. So y is equal to -1 plus 12 plus 2, which is 13. So this is 13. And so on. And now you just fill the rest of them. And the rest of them fill as follows. Now 12b, you've gotten your x values and y values. All you got to do is draw the graph of this function, x cubed minus 12x plus 2, from x equal to -3 to 4. Okay, so all you got to do is take this x value and take this y value and put it on the graph. Now this is pretty basic stuff. I'm hoping you know how to do this. So it's -3 and then 11. So you go up to here and your point will be somewhere here. Then you got -2 and 18. So your point will be somewhere here. And -1 and 13. So your point will be somewhere there, I think. Then 0 and 2. And so on. Alright, so you have your points as follows. Now all you got to do is draw a line going through all of them. And please don't make the stupid mistake which many people in my grade made and just draw a smooth curve. Don't draw it with rulers connecting each point like this. Okay, just make a nice little smooth curve like I've drawn. And label your curve, which I like to do, x cubed minus 12x plus 2. So it doesn't give a reason for examiners to mark you down. And put arrows on the end also, because lines can keep going on forever. Well, in question 12C1, you're being asked to find dy over dx of the curve. Now, before we do this, I want you guys to look at this note over here. Now, when you have y is equal to x to the power of anything, the differentiation of y with respect to x, dy over dx, is equal to, you basically take this number over here, you bring it down here, you multiply it by x, so nx, times, and then this gets subtracted by 1. This power gets subtracted by 1, so it's n minus 1. And if you differentiate, if y is equal to a constant, so this could be any number like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, differentiating that with respect to x equals 0. So now let's do dy over dx of this. So if you look at this, it's nothing but x to the power of 3, so 3 comes down here, gets multiplied by x, and it's 3 minus 1, minus 12 times x to the power of 1, 1 comes here, so it's minus 12, times x to the power of 0, plus 1 minus 1, 1 minus 1, and plus 2 differentiates, 2 is a constant, so it differentiates to 0. So this becomes 3x squared minus 12 times x to the power of 0. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. So x to the power of 0 becomes 1 plus 0, which is nothing. So this is nothing but 3x squared minus 12. Now when you differentiate any curve with respect to x, so y dy over dx, dy over dx is nothing but the gradient of the curve. So if you substitute your appropriate x value, you can get the gradient of the curve at that x point. So in this 12C2, they're asking you to find the gradient where x is equal to 5. So all you got to do is substitute 5 into this x. So you're going to get dy over dx is equal to 3 times 5 squared minus 12. So dy over dx is equal to 3 times 25 minus 12, which is equal to 75 minus 12, which is 63. So 63 is equal to your gradient m. So 63 is your gradient at that point 5. Okay, so question 13 is about circle properties. I'm not going to explain the properties because it'll take really long. But basically you have these 4 points P, Q, R, and S, and circle with center C. PCR is a straight line, meaning it's a diameter as it passes through C. And you're basically being asked to find this angle here, RQS of this triangle. So you gotta find that angle. So now first of all, to do this, we're gonna look at this triangle over here, which is what we have, the only angle we have. And as you can notice, it's 36. Now if you look closely at the diagram, you'll notice that another triangle is also on the same segment, which is this segment. They both lie in the same segment. So I'm hoping you know this rule. So these two angles, this angle and this angle, we'll call it y, are equal. So y is equal to 36 degrees. And in the question, they specify to give reasons for your answer. So you should say that angles in the same segment are equal. Alright? So you know that y is equal to 36. Okay, next part. So we know what y is, which is this angle. Now, how do we find this angle? Now, first of all, to do that, we need to look at this line over here. Alright? So it's basically a diameter. It passes through the center, as it passes through the center C. So this triangle here, if that is the diameter, that should mean that the angle opposite to the diameter is 90 degrees. So this angle is 90 degrees. So RQP is nothing but 90 degrees. So RQP P is equal to 90 degrees. And you can say this because because this is a whole semicircle, so angle inside semicircle is equal to 90 degrees. Okay, so now that you know the whole angle is equal to 90 degrees, and you know that this part of the angle is equal to 36, if we subtract this from this, we can get this angle over here. So the angle RQS is equal to 90 degrees minus 36, which is equal to 54 degrees. So question 14 has given you a right angle triangle ABC, and they've given you an angle X, and they're saying AB is 20 and BC is 8.3. For A1, they're asking you to find the lower bound of the length of AB. Now, I've explained this in many of my other videos, so I'm just going to kind of rush through it. The lower bound is nothing but, like, in this case, AB is 20. And it's been rounded to one significant figure. So, it's been rounded to, the eraser. It's been rounded to this. So, this has been rounded. It could have been either 15, rounded up, or it could have been 24.99999, or it could have been 24 rounded down, 24.999, which is nothing but 25. So the lower bound is nothing but like taking whatever has been rounded up to, which is this number, and that's in the tens place, and you just divide this by 2, you're going to get 5. To find the lower bound, you just take this number and subtract this number. So the lower bound is 20 minus 5, which is 15 centimeters. The upper bound is the opposite. All you do is add this number. But we're asked for lower bound, so we just do 20 minus 5, which is 15. Now we have to find the lower bound of BC, which is 8.3. Now 8.3 has been corrected to two significant figures, meaning one first number and second significant figures. Meaning it could have been 8.25 rounded up, or 8.349999 rounded down. So in this case, we are asked to find the lower bound. So we just take this place, because it's been this could have been rounded up or down. So that's the 0.1's place, and we divide that by 2. We're going to get 0.05. Now to find the lower bound, we take this value, we subtract this value. So it's nothing but 8.3 minus 0.05, which is equal to 8.25 centimeters. Okay, so question 14b, you're being asked to find the lower bound of the area of this triangle. Now the area of any triangle is half base times height. If you were to find the area of this triangle, it would just be half times 20 times 8.3, right? But in this case, they want the lower bound, meaning they want the lowest value possible. Now when you're multiplying digits or numbers and you want to get the lowest bound, you want to multiply by the lowest numbers so you can get a lower number as area, or the lower bound for area. So in this case you have base times height, which can and this is a constant, right? So all you got to take is the lower bound of base and the lower bound of the height and multiply them together and you get a lower bound. So area of triangle, lower bound area of triangle, is equal to half times base, the lower bound of the base, which is 15, times the lower bound of the height, which is 8.25. And so that'll give you 61.875 centimeters squared. Okay, so for question 14c, the same triangle, they're asking you to calculate the lower bound of tan x. So tan x. So tan x is nothing but the opposite side over the adjacent side. The opposite side meaning the opposite side to the angle, the adjacent side being the side where the right angle and the angle lie on, which is this side. Alright, so normally you would do opposite over adjacent, but you want a lower value for tan. So you want a lower bound of tan, meaning you want the lower value possible. So if you want a lower value when you're dividing, all you got to do is take a lower number at the top, a lower number at the top, so lower bound at the top, and you got to divide by a high number. so you'll get a low number, right? Because if you take a smaller number and you divide by a larger number, you're going to get a smaller number. So you take the lower bound of the opposite side, which is 8.3, so you take the lower bound, which is 8.25, and you divide it by the upper bound of this. Now if the lower bound is 15, the upper bound should be 25. So you divide this by 25, and that'll be your lower bound for the value of tan x. So 8.25 divided by 25 is nothing but the lower bound of tan x is equal to 0.33. Okay, so we're done with part 2. Sorry, it's been really long, 26 minutes almost. Please watch part 3. Comment if you have any questions, and rate and subscribe to this channel also. Thanks a lot, guys, and see you on the next part.